Now you're ready to play the triads over a chord progression. Let's begin with the single string triads using the tapping technique and follow the chords with their respective triads. An amazing example of tapping triads in this manner is Van Halen's Eruption. But let's get back to our chord progression, which uses all 4 triad types. Check it out. The backing track chords are going to be outlined with the single string triads. Let's go ahead and figure out what the chords are first, and then we'll play them over the backing track. The first one's G major, so it's going to be actually the same major triad we learned initially in this series of lessons. And let's go ahead and just play it 4 times for each triad, and we'll tap it in the tap, pull off, hammer on sequence, and we'll do that 4 times per chord. So the G major would go. Next chord is A minor. The A minor triad would be based off the 5th fret on the 1st string. That's your root note, your A. And then if you remember the triad formula for minor, it's root, flat, 3rd, 5th. So it's 1.5 steps and then 2 whole steps. So what I'm going to do is just move up, and I'm going to be on frets 5, 8, and 12 for the A minor triad. The third one is an F sharp diminished triad. We're going to find F sharp on the 1st string, back on the 2nd fret, and the formula for diminished is 1.5 steps, 1.5 steps. So from the root note, we're going to be frets 2, 5, and 8. And then the 4th chord is G major again, back to G major. So we're going to be back up to the 3rd, 7th, and 10th frets. Now, before we go on, let's try just those 4 chords played slowly and connect them evenly, like this. We're going to go 4 times on each one. G, A minor, F sharp diminished, and back to G major. There you go. And if you have to, go ahead and stop this tutorial and practice that part. The 5th chord is an E minor. We're going to move over to the 2nd string for this one. It'll be at the 5th fret, 2nd string is your root note E, and then the minor formula is 1.5 steps and 2 whole steps. So we got frets 5 and 8 is your 1.5, and 8 to 12 is your 2 whole steps. And we're going to do that for the E minor chord 4 times. The next chord is C major. We're going to stay on the 2nd string, quickly move back to the 1st fret, 2nd string, which is your root note C, and the formula for the major triad is 2 whole steps and 1.5. So you can see we got 2 steps between the root on the 1st fret and the major 3rd degree on the 5th fret. And then the major 3rd to the 5th degree is 1.5 steps. So you've got frets 1, 5, and 8 are your C major triad notes. And then the next chord follows C is the D major. For that one, we're going to stay on the 2nd string and just move the shape up 2 frets, or 1 whole step. And then since it's also a major triad, it's going to retain the same shape. So the distance between the root and the major 3rd is 2 whole steps, and the major 3rd to the 5th is 1.5. And the final chord is a D augmented, which, if you remember the formula for augmented, it's a major 3rd and a sharp 5th. So the major 3rd interval is already established from the D. We got a root to a major 3rd, and then the major 3rd to the sharp 5 would put us another 2 whole steps up to the 11th fret on the 2nd string. So D augmented would be the D note, F sharp, and an A sharp note. Now let's rehearse just the second half of the chord progression, which is E minor, and we'll do it real slow. We'll go E minor, C major, D major, D augmented. And you can hear that D augmented sounds very unresolved. What it needs to resolve to is back to the very first chord of our progression, which is the G, and then it can either repeat the whole progression or you end it on the G note. So let me show you the ending of the D augmented. And then I just slide it to a G note to end it. Or if we're going to repeat, we're going to do the D augmented 4 times and just go right back to the beginning, which is the first string doing G major, A minor, F sharp diminished, G major, jump over to E minor on the second string, C major, D major, D augmented, and then we'll end it. And after you've practiced that, memorize the parts, and you can move effortlessly from one triad position to another, and especially jumping strings from the first to the second string, like we just did there. Then you're ready to move on to playing it over the backing tracks, which we're going to check out next. And let's check them out played slowly.